She, who was the object of my affection, a devotion immeasurable by space and time. She who was after all only a person, complicated and frail. Despite it, her accomplishments were vast. Her manifestations were her true magic. To think, to dream, to put into action. As much as we were all capable of amazing individual acts, it was her ability to bring us together to accomplish something larger than ourselves that transcended the magic in us all. It was the parts of ourselves that lay dormant, human, vulnerable, and both wanting and afraid of risk that she weaved together into a tapestry, into a collective. Her cornerstone was Neto. We could not understand why, nor perhaps could she, but the reason did not lie in his capabilities, as he was lacking in most anything that could be perceived as useful. He was brooding then, perhaps more than he ever was or would be. His view of the world was mostly in regards to his art, less in being of service to the collective than to that which in some of our eyes felt like a kind of obscure spirituality. But to him it was something greater. Perhaps he was trying to understand something that we could not conceive of understanding, or perhaps he simply wanted to touch it for himself and so release himself of a mysterious burden. But perhaps I am only projecting. Before her, brother Agatha was sometimes unlike the leader we so required. Before him, she seemed devoted to understanding his inner workings, perhaps at the neglect of others. With the rest of us, she seemed ready and able to make quick work of using our skills, but with Neto, I don't know. He evaded her understanding, or she simply couldn't see what was in front of her, or accept it. Still, it was not all ponderous and complex. We relished at the opportunity to give the world a taste of our abilities. It was a team sport. In the heart of the revolution, we could alter the course of history. Our lack of fine-tuning was irrelevant amidst the chaos. It tested our limits, and we came out of it like it had been a training ground. Gree's knowledge and military connections, Agatha's chess-like prescience and ability to delegate, along with her skills as an assassin, Balkis and Leona came as a package deal to infiltrate with their transformative powers, and others came later, Gree with his other vampire associates, some who rivaled my strength and resilience. And of course there was Neto, whose only real magic would seem was to change his age in rapid fashion, unlike the rest of us who would require more time and effort to do so. He was useful for collecting information, but mostly he was there so Agatha could feel at peace, so that she could feel whole. Neto's painting of Agatha was my prized possession. I would have returned to my home to secure it at all cost. Perhaps if there wasn't more at stake. Though it captured Agatha in a slightly exaggerated fashion, her neck extending an inch or so further than it was in actuality. Neto could see something that the rest of us could not, at least not until I saw it in his painting. He drew his twin, not as she was, but as she would have been, or perhaps as she had been before they were irreparably transformed. If a vampire has anything in common with another vampire, it is that the source of their power and their shared trauma lies in that space between our head and our heart. It becomes a source of nourishment, but also a constant reminder of our own curse and origin story. A vampire has a complicated relationship with it, especially with each other. It is almost taboo. I have told you, or rather, not told you, about her neck. But the truth is I never noticed it until I saw Neto's painting. Something in the magic of those brushstrokes altered the way I looked at it. And only in retelling my story do I allow myself to fixate on this part of her anatomy. At the time, I was too lost to understand the change that was happening to me in her presence. Only in memory do I wish I could have truly seen her for what she was. A victim, like we all. In my memory, we are in her attic apartment, and Netto has left this time for good. The collective is dispatched across Europe and abroad, and we are alone. She sits at the window, there where not too long ago Gree would have been in her lap. I am there, but she is alone. She does not expect anything of me. I take her demeanor as rejection, and I simply leave, dejected and pathetic, sober but addicted to pity. But in my fantasy I do approach her. I sidle behind her, and with the same hand that she laid hers on that day at the piano, I encircle the back of her neck and I hold it there, feeling the warmth of the million neurons buzzing like a cosmos. I lift her head ever so gently, extending her neck so that it is tall and proud like the painting, and she turns and looks at me, and she sees me, and I see her, and we kiss, this time without the taste of resin. But it is all the medicine we need to feel whole.